Hello everyone and welcome to the RB9 Calendar Training. What we'll do first is we're going to spend some time and talk about visual differences and navigation differences between RB8 and the RB9 application. The first noticeable difference between the two is that RB9 is now a full web-based program, which means all you need is an internet browser and an internet connection, and you'll be able to use RB9 from wherever you are. So that means browsers supported on desktop PCs, laptops, Macs, MacBooks, tablets, and technically even your phone. All browsers are supported. You can see on the bottom right which browsers are supported with RB9. So you will launch your browser and go to your designated website URL for your RB9 site, and you will be able to log in. I will log in as myself. When you guys get your system, your RB8 login credentials that you currently utilize will still work for RB9. When you log into RB9, you'll notice that the menus are still at the top. We no longer have the quick launch icons, but the menus for the most part have stayed the same. We didn't want to really reinvent the wheel in a lot of what you guys click when it comes in terms of opening up functions up or searching and retrieving data. So if you take a look at these menus, they're very similar to what you're already used to in RB8. Of course, there are some changes. We do have verbiage changes, some of the function names changes, and there are some additions. Notably, up here at the top, Entities is a new menu heading, where basically these 5 items, they were all in RB8, they were just under the setup menu. We just put them in their own menu heading called Entities. And you'll notice there's one up here called Connect as well. Connect stands for RB Connect. The previous version of what we would have called RB Connect that you're used to is called RB Web now. So just know RB Web is now referred to as RB Connect in this version. And in the old version RB8, all of your RB Web functionality was found under the Tools menu. Now we gave it its own menu heading called Connect, which makes it easier to find all of those settings. Lastly, your personal settings. In RB8 at the top left, you had a personal menu. Now you can find your personal menu at the very top right. You'll see your company name and your username logged in. If you simply put your mouse cursor over your name at the top right, these are your personal options where you can set items like your user preferences, or you can go to your notifications and messages. Now, I'm going to go ahead first and open up some random functions. And don't really pay any attention to what I'm actually opening right now. I'm just opening up random functions because I want to talk about the look and feel of RB9 now. So here you can see I've opened up 4 functions, and I want to show you that all of the functions in RB9, they open up in the same manner as RB8, as tabs at the top. So if I'm working in one function, finding data for example, I can navigate to another tab, and again, I can continue to do my work. So in that aspect, RB9 is the same as RB8. You're basically searching data. You can flip back and forth between the functions that you're working on to really never lose your place and to continue about where you are. Now notice, search criteria are still on the left-hand side. And again, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel with how you guys are searching data. So for the most part, most of the functions have the same exact search criteria with the addition of some new ones. Because, finding data should still be fast and comparable to what you're doing now. In this particular function, I pulled up a list of jobs by a date range, and you can see that the data displays are similar to RB8. It's a spreadsheet or grid layout where you have columns at the top and rows going down for the data. So it looks exactly the same as RB8. In RB8, you could export your results to Excel. You can still do that at the bottom right down here by clicking on this button. and you have your options to export to Excel or as a CSV file. One noticeable difference is how much data results are displayed on the screen. On a website, whenever you actually search for data, you're always given multiple pages of results. Most web pages do not load every single result on one page because that would essentially slow the site down. And that's the same with RB. If you look down here at the bottom right, I actually found 307 total records of jobs, but I'm only looking at 1 through 50. So that is controlled right here, how many you can actually view per page. And of course, the more you tell the system to display per page, the slower the loading is, so keep that in mind. So try to keep it between 20 and 50 is what I would say to keep it optimal. Even though if you do stretch it out to 100, it's not really going to hinder the performance of the system very much. So data displays and grid layouts, just like RB8, we still have some functions that are reports like job printout. I can expand my dates to include more. Job printout is a report format function, as you can see. The reports, for the most part, again, they do look like the same. There are additional fields that have been added to the reports and things like that. But again, we didn't want to really change a lot of what the reports actually did. You still have the option on these reports to print or to export, and of course you can export as a PDF. So note, when you do things like export, it doesn't actually ask you to save a particular file and just go. The system, since it's in a web browser, it will simply download it. Like my Chrome that I'm using is set to automatically download and open specific files, PDFs for example. That's why it opened that PDF. But the system will automatically download. So that goes to say with anything you're trying to open that's going to be a specific file type in the system, it's going to download it to your computer. So if something's in the repository, as an example, and you want to simply view it, you have to download it and then it'll view. So we can't control that. That's how web browsers handle files that it has to grab. Because if the web browser doesn't have the file, it has to download it for you so you can then process and open it. So reports basically look the same, as you can see, and they still have the same capabilities that the RB8 reports had. Now let's go back to the grid layout functions, because I want to talk to you about some noticeable differences in how you will be clicking and utilizing the system. First of all, let's talk about opening up a record. In RB8, if you had a job that you wanted to open, or if you had an invoice from Invoice Inquiry that you wanted to open, you could double click that particular record with your left mouse button, or right click and view it, and it would open up that particular record. Both of those functionalities in RB9 are gone. So there is no more double clicking in RB9, and there is no more right clicking in RB9. You can't double click in RB9 because, again, this isn't a website. If you want to open something or go to another page on any website, you have to click a link, and that's a single click with your left mouse button, and it will automatically open that page. For example, if I wanted to open up this job, the job number is now the link, and you can see that by when I cursor over it, my pointer changes to the hand. And if I click that link with a single left click, it opens that job. So double clicking is gone. That is not a usable function in a website. Also gone right clicking. This is my right click options. These are Chrome options. We can't control that. We're using Chrome's browser, or I'm using Chrome's browser, so Chrome is controlling my right click capabilities. So when you open up a detail window, let's go back into this job for example. Notice that it opens up as a tab at the top. So that's actually pretty neat, because see, if I start to open up more detailed windows, open up more jobs, open up some invoices, you can see they all open at the top. I think this is a very nice improvement over RB8, because if you think about opening up the multiple windows in RB8, they all opened kind of on top of each other, on top of RB8, and then if you minimize them and work on something else, it was kind of hard for you to see what exactly you have open in the system. You had to cursor over the RB icon at the bottom, and then you would see a little tip of all of the windows you have open. But now everything just stays open at the top. So it's easy for you to navigate the system. So windows in RB9 are not present. Windows do not open up on top of another window. Everything is done within the browser. So everything will open to the right in the same window, in the same screen. And again, that's also better for daily usage of RB9 because you can basically open up as much as you want and keep going to the right. The system will not open up window on top of window on top of window and get you to a point to where you could be stuck. In RB8, that was an issue. You could open up enough windows to where you couldn't get to a point where you can go somewhere else. You had to close that current window to basically do something else. So that will not happen in RB9, which is a lot better. And now, let's talk about when you're looking at a detail window, for example, this job. Now, let's think about when you open up a detail window in RB8. When you open up a job, when you open up an invoice, when you open up a firm, when you open up a contact, there's a lot of data in every single one of those detail windows. And they were all broken down into tabs at the top. Like for example, in a job window in RB8, you have the general tab, location tab, additional tab, parties, resources, job level repository, so forth and so on, all going left to right. Now notice in this job window, there are no tabs. Instead, what RB9 does is in every detail window, it's going to go top to bottom. But you'll see that they are all sectioned off. So right here's my general section, and the next one down here is ordering client. So everything is still broken down into sections that mimic what were the tabs in RB8. So if I go down here, it's general, ordering client, job location, additional, parties, specialties, task, repository, and notes log. So again, same exact sections that were tabs in RB9, and you simply go top to bottom. Now, this is a lot of scrolling, so if I have to get back to the general section, does that mean I have to do this, or I have to use my scroll wheel? No, you don't have to do that, because again, that could be harder on the eyes, and it's hard for you to figure out where you want to stop. So I have a nice tip for you that you guys should utilize, because it'll really save you some time. So right now, if you look at the top left, I'm in what's called View Job. And when I cursor over here, you'll notice it makes the hand. So if I click right here, you'll see some options. And these particular options below Collapse All and Expand All, these are all the sections of this particular detail window. And of course, if I click on one, it's simply going to jump me right to that section. So if I wanted to go to the party section, I simply click right here, and it'll jump me right there. If I want to go down to my loads log, go down here. So that's what it'll actually do. Let's go back to the general section now. So get used to that, because that will really save you some time and keep you from having to worry about where you're scrolling and stopping in time to be perfectly where you want to be. Now notice something else in this detail window. Referring back to RB8, when you open up a detail window, everything was pretty much an open field. Like if I needed to, I open up a job and I can change any data right on the spot. Now in RB9, it's a little bit different. If you'll notice at the top left again, it says we're in View Job. And if you notice all of these fields here, like I cannot modify the witness name. That's because when you open up a detail window in RB9, you're in what's called View Mode. Okay? If you want to make changes to this record, you'll have to click Edit at the top right, and that will enter Edit Mode. So now you can see all of these fields are open, and I can make any changes if I need to. Okay, so get used to that. Two modes, Edit Mode, View Mode. Okay, let's go ahead and get out of here. Now, if I really wanted to, right, I could, if I had all these windows open, these tabs open, excuse me, I could go up here to where my name is, and I could go to Close All Tabs. So now let's start the actual calendar trainings. So we're going to touch base on general workflow of the calendar today, and we're going to talk about some new concepts and changes all within this particular calendar menu. For the functions that have not changed, I'm not even going to go over them because there are some functions in here that have not changed. They're basically the same as what they were or what they are in RB8. And that would actually be the cases function, resource availability is still the same, resource blast is the same, daily calendar audit, job printout, job analysis, and assignment analysis. So we're going to talk about everything else and talk about how you really work those functions into your different ways of your workflow. So change number 1, let's start off nice and easy. The main thing you guys did in Calendar in RB8 is you opened up the Calendar Manager. Calendar Manager had basically 3 views of your calendar: list view, weekly view, and monthly view. Now you'll notice in RB9 there is no Calendar Manager. You basically have 2 functions here. You have Jobs List View and you'll have Jobs Monthly View. So you'll notice, first change, Weekly View is gone. So if you did use Weekly View, sorry, it didn't make it to the application. List View and Monthly View did make it. So let's talk about these 2. Monthly View looks different, but it basically acts the same, okay? Now this is more along the lines to mimic like Google Calendar, okay? Where if I can see on every given day how many total jobs I have, and I can see a tip of a few. If I mouse cursor over one of the jobs, it gives me a tip and shows me some of the information pertaining to those jobs. So it's very clean in what it actually shows you. Now the sample data here is, you can see on this particular day, let's use it as an example. I actually have 4 jobs total, but if you look, I only see 3 here. So for that little tip display, for those 3 jobs, you can actually expand that, okay? Mine happens to be set to 3. You have the option to set that to display 3 to 10 jobs, all the way up to 10. Now, of course, if I show 10, it's going to stretch the day out, so it makes the calendar a lot longer. But it does give you the ability to see more jobs at a quick view. And you'll notice my tip right there, it shows the start time and my client name, the firm name. You can't edit those bits of information. So that will be editable in the system preferences if you want to be able to do that. Why am I saying this is similar to the monthly view in RB8? Because if I need to see an entire day's calendar, all I do is just click the blue line at the bottom of the day. Like this one right here has 9 and I'm only seeing 3 as a tip. Well, if I click the total 9 here, it brings up that entire day on my screen. So yes, it is different in the sense that it's not showing it at the bottom, but we're showing you the exact same information as RB8 did in monthly view, and it just happens to be on top. And of course, if I needed to go into these jobs and work on or make edits or get information, all my job numbers over on the left-hand side are clickable links, so I can open it, okay? So visually, it just looks different. List view, on the other hand, is very similar to what the list view in RB8 was. I can do any of the searches, mix and match the search criteria as I wish, but of course, whatever data I do pull, it's going to give me a straight list of jobs is all it's going to do. I think one of the most asked for things that we had from ideas in RB8 was we had a big request from a lot of people actually to add location searches in the calendar. So now you can search by job location name, the city, and the state, which is nice. Let's talk about probably the biggest complaint we had about RB9, okay? The biggest complaint we had about RB9 is the fact that I can't take one of these columns and click it and drag it to wherever I want. This is a website. You can't do that. It's just not possible. You cannot drag and drop and move things around on a website. A website is designed the way it looks, the way it's going to look, and you can't manipulate it on the fly. So that was the biggest complaint, especially in the calendar function, as you can imagine, because everyone likes to move their columns the way they are. And I'm sorry to say, from a user standpoint, you do not have that capability. Now, do you have any capability to manipulate the order of the columns? Yes, you do. But it is a system preference. So under Setup, System Preferences, we added a function under General called rearrange grid columns. And basically, if I wanted to jobs list view, the way it works is you click on the function that you want to edit the order of the columns. Now I click edit up here. And basically you just kind of drag and drop where you want these. That's what you do. So if we want to move it, so we can just tell the order where we want it and eventually kind of move it around. So maybe I don't really want to see the job location anymore because everything is zoom. So let's take that and let's just move it back down to the bottom somewhere. Let's move it down here. Okay. I like to see date, time, status. Yeah, definitely the resource. So let's save that. Close. Let's close out of here and let's refresh that function. So you'll notice now job location is now gone. So when you manipulate the order where it says jobs list view, it also does the same thing for the monthly view. When you click on a day, it'll be the same exact order of the columns. So again, that's a system preference, not a user preference. Okay. So let's go ahead now and let's start putting a job into the calendar. Let's talk about that process, okay? Now, if you notice at the top right, there's 3 buttons up here for this function: new, help, close. So new will create a new job. Help will open up the manual on another tab, and actually it'll open up the manual to the exact function you're on, which is kind of nice. You don't have to search. And close will simply close the function, okay? Now you'll notice when I go to monthly view, the same buttons are at the top. So every function that you open in RB9, all those buttons are going to be at the top right, always in the same place. So again, because you don't have right-clicking capabilities and you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You're just simply clicking on a button to actually start something. Okay, so let's start putting in a new job. Okay, so change number 1 here is you'll notice I'm already in a lookup firm section. If I scroll over to the left, this is my actual new job section, but we're already bringing us into a search. So that's a lot better because remember, when you open a job in RB8, you have to click the binoculars and then you have to search for the ordering contact's name. So we take 1 click out right there, okay? Concept change number 1 here is that you'll notice it says lookup firm. In RB8, you are used to searching and selecting the ordering contact on the job. So why exactly did we change it to lookup firm? So this is concept change number 1, right? I want you to notice on the left-hand side over here, we now have a scheduling firm concept and we have an ordering firm concept, okay? In RB8, there was only 1 firm you were really selecting and the contacts had to belong to that exact firm, meaning the secretary and paralegal and the attorney. They had to belong to the same firm. Well, that poses a problem for some people. And this is why we did this too, okay? A couple of reasons. So what if you had a large firm? Maybe they have an office in Los Angeles. Maybe they have an office in San Francisco. Maybe the paralegal works in Los Angeles. The paralegal calls and says, hey, I want to schedule a job, but the attorney's actually in my San Francisco location. Set that up for me. Right. So in RB8, sure, I can schedule the job for the ordering contact being the attorney in that San Francisco office. But when I choose the ordered by, well, that only reflects who was tied to that attorney at that same exact firm location. So we couldn't designate the ordered by in RB8 to another contact at another firm. So that means that you would either A, have to just manually type in their name as an ordered by, or B, you had to duplicate enter that paralegal in both firms. Now, that's not ideal, of course, because, what if you have RB Web and what if they have to manage the accounts? Or what if you called me one day and you said, hey, Jason, can you give me a list of all the jobs that this particular paralegal scheduled? Sure, I could do it, but I have to do multiple searches now. And on top of that, we allowed you guys to manually type in the ordered by, and that's not good either, because what if her name was Jane Smith? Someone wrote Jane ordered it. Someone wrote Jane Smith. Someone wrote Miss Smith. Well, again, if you ask me for that list of all the jobs that Jane Smith scheduled with you guys, it's going to be a hard search for me to actually figure that out. So that's one of the main reasons why we did that, is so that you can properly choose contacts that are from different firms depending on what they do. Now, if 90 to 95% of your jobs, the paralegal or secretary and the ordering attorney, are from the same exact firm location, then that's fine. When you initially search for the firm and select it, we're going to default the scheduling firm and ordering firm to be the same location anyways. You only need to choose a different ordering firm when the attorney's at a different office than the person calling the job in. Okay? So let's see this in action. I'm going to choose my firm, Stratford. Any part of the firm name. If you want to search by contact name, you still can, by the way. It's right there. Okay? But I'm just going to do firm, the new concept. Let's choose the firm. You'll see we defaulted to the same. So the schedule by drop down, these names are all contacts that belong to this firm entry. So I can say it was Kelly, the paralegal. The ordering contact selection is, again, the same as whoever the contacts are tied to this firm. So in this case, I could choose David. If it was a different attorney at a different firm, I could go look up firm. I could choose my other location. Then, of course, my ordering contact dropdown would reflect that second firm's contacts that I selected. Okay, so that's how it works. All right, now notice, ordering client section. 4 nice pieces of information we give you right below the client. Warnings and calendar notes. Warnings now just appear. So much better than RB8, because remember, RB8, the warnings, they were that little yield symbol. You had to put your mouse cursor over it, then you only saw the warning for about 5 to 10 seconds. Now the warnings just stay on the screen. So if you write a book, you're going to see that field just expand. So you're going to see it all. Notice here too, firm calendar notes, contact calendar notes. If you guys set up calendar notes for the firm or calendar notes for the contacts, those notes will, again, they will appear right here for you guys to read. So we're giving you 4 important pieces of information that you could possibly need before you even start scheduling any of the real job information, which is nice. Okay, let's move down to the next section, which is general. Okay, so this is where the job process will look the same. Okay, will look similar. In my example, okay, so we're going to have job date. I'll choose a date. We'll pick a time. You can default an end time like I have set there. So all the same fields, time zone, adjust the clock, business unit. You still have witness name, of course. If you have multiple witnesses, separated by a comma. Job type, we'll say this is a depot-video. And then you have your case selection. So case selection is, again, it's still the same. There's a lookup button right here where when you click it, you're either searching for a case or you're clicking new to create one on the fly. I'm going to select one. Okay, you can see the case warning here. Let's go down to the job location. Job location is exactly the same as RB8. Same options. Manual entry. You can select a firm for the location. You can select a location as the location. Maybe you network, a resource can be assigned as the job location. Your business unit, if you are hosting, or set as the ordering firm hosting the job. Now, of course, in today's world, a lot of people are just doing manual and they're putting Zoom here, right? So you can create something called Zoom, or you can manually do a Zoom entry here. And then in the location notes, you may paste, of course, the Zoom information in location notes. Let's go down to the additional section. A lot of the same things here too. Notation fields still the same. Sales rep, so we still have client of sales rep capabilities in the system, and how referred is the same. Scheduling notes is something new, and this is actually a notes field for you guys. So if you have any notes that calendar you guys as the calendar department that you want to put in this job, use this scheduling notes field. They're for your eyes only. But what's nice about them is that you notice they're right next to the confirmation notes and the resource notification notes. So you can kind of compare other notes. So maybe you wrote something important in confirmation and resource notification notes, but you want to make your own little blurb. That's for you guys, right? Well, that's what scheduling notes is for. If you think back to RB8, you didn't have anything like that, right? And if you really wanted to put your own note in a job in RB8, you had to put it on the notes log tab. Well, if you wanted to compare that note on the notes log tab to what you have on the additional tab, you had to flip back and forth. Not very convenient. So now this gives you more convenience to see notes right next to each other, which I really like. Confirmation notes are still the same. Whatever you type in the confirmation notes, they show up on the confirmation letter that goes to the client. Okay, so of course be careful what you put in there because your clients will see it. The resource notification notes, these show up on the assignment notification that is sent to your assigned resources. In RB8, we called the assignment notification the resource worksheet. So that is a noticeable verbiage change. Resource worksheet is gone. We now call it assignment notification. But again, same notes field shows up on the I still say worksheet too. Shows up on the assignment notification for your assigned resource. Next new field, which is also a good one down here too, is production and billing notes. Now, the field name production and billing notes itself is nothing new. Every firm that you set up in RB and every contact that you set up in RB can have its own production and billing notes in their setup. But now every job can have its own production and billing notes. So why did we do this? Well, what if the client is telling you guys that they want to order something different from their standing order? Or maybe you guys made a deal with them and you're going to bill them out at $4.75 a page instead of $5, right? Well, we can note that information right here. And these particular production and billing notes, they only pertain to this particular job only. And the benefit of it is when you guys go to the turn-in for this job, these production and billing notes are going to show up right on the screen right when someone opens up the turn-in window for this job. So that's nice. So we could say bill at $4.75 per page. Something like that. Now notice, I can't go down any further. So just like with RB8, this is the end of the road, the additional section. So all you can do here is basically click save, and RB will save that particular job. And if you'll notice, it takes me to the party section. If I scroll up just a little bit, you'll see that's exactly where we left off. So RB technically does the same thing. RB9 does the same thing that RB8 did. Saves the job, and it shows you the rest of the sections, and it takes you to the next one, which is the party section. Now, if you guys, when you schedule a job, if you email a confirmation letter to the client right away, then what you can do here is you can do that from the job. All you're going to do is click on more at the top. This is going to give you a lot of options, as you can see. I can go choose send job confirmation. And I'll send my acknowledgement form. Show mail composer, sending from Jason, okay? Click OK. This is just going to show you what the email actually looks like. So here's mine, and it's very simple what we're doing. And it will be attached as a PDF. So you can actually set your form to embed in the body of the email itself, which is nice. Mine just happens not to be turned on. Actually, let me show that to you anyways. Let's take a look at that real fast. Setup, system prefs, calendar, job confirmation, and I will embed the form and attach it as a PDF. So it's actually pretty neat. Okay, so let's get out of there. So let's redo that. More, send. Show mail composer is checked. I'm going to go ahead and send this. So now if you take a look, it's actually embedded into the actual form, which is nice. And of course, yes, they're going to get the attachment still. So then you can send this off. Okay. So email is a little different than RB8. RB9 does not communicate with Outlook. Since it's a website, it can't communicate with your Outlook system. So you will have to set up email in RB9, which we can assist you guys with. So of course, if you guys need assistance setting up the email, let us know. It simply uses SMTP to send email out, which means it connects to an email server. And basically RB9 just gives the email to the email server, and the email server sends it out. But we can assist you guys or your IT staffs with setting up email. It's pretty easy. It's not that hard. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and send this out, no big deal. So this would be sending the job confirmation on the spot, right? While I'm working in the job, as you can see. You can continue about your business. Now, let's talk about the parties. So again, RB9, it automatically creates the ordering contact as a job party. Same thing as RB8. If I click on the party listed here, I just want to show you the party setup. It's pretty much for the most part the same. General section is the same as a general tab with all your checkboxes and options. Going down, you have the billing info section where here, if I was going to bill third party, I could do something like uncheck, same as sold to, and I could look up a different firm, which would be my insurance company. And I know my adjuster name. Okay, Carrie Lincoln. And then, of course, you have your claim number, name of insured, and data loss, direct billing notes, all that good stuff. Of course, it will show up on the invoice so that the adjuster, when they receive it, they'll know exactly what that claim pertains to, right? Then at the bottom, this is your requested services section. So if they are requesting any services and you want to tie it to their job party, you can go ahead and add them here. That way, of course, when you get to billing and you pre-fill the party, the service will automatically be tied to their order. That's why. Now let's go back up though, because there is one new field I want to mention here, and that's on the billing info section. It's right here, billing rate. In RB9, you can actually tie the billing rate to a job party. You can actually tie the billing rate to the firm setup. And you can actually tie the billing rate to the contact setup. So why does it do that, or why do we give you that capability? Well, it's so that maybe you could do one less step when you're actually going through the billing process, okay? So if I knew ahead of time that this was going to be my depot regular rate for this one, I could select it. So eventually when I get to turn in and I pre-fill the party, to create the invoice from the job list, and I select this party, it's automatically going to have the billing rate tied to the invoice. So that's the one change. Now, if you have negotiated rates with the clients and you always bill them out the same rate, I would tie the rate to the actual firm or contact, depending on how it's set up. Now, some of you, how would it really work? Can you utilize this? Yes, maybe no, it just depends. If you guys have a ton of rates, it's obviously a lot harder to utilize something like this because you may have to, billing will have to choose the rate as they go. But of course, if you have minimal number of rates, then it might be more likely that you can use this because obviously you don't have to decide on how many rates you need to use. Okay, let's get out of here. And let's talk about the next section, which is specialties. This is exactly the same as the specialties in RB8. Basically, specialties are special skills or traits required to fulfill a job. They're supposed to help you with assigning, right? So if you add a specialty to a job, it's required for the resource that you're going to assign to be able to fulfill it. So remember, specialties are also in the resource setup. You add the specialties to the resource setups for the ones that they can, perform, right? That they can take care of. And so that way, when you do assigning, RB only shows the resources that have that same specialty in their setup as being available. I'm not really going to touch base on that because, again, it's the same as RB8. Award points. This was a plugin in RB8, okay? But basically, we just added it as part of RB9. But basically, what the award points is, first of all, it's turned off for everybody. So you have to enable it if you want to enable it. Even though it's here, it's turned off. But basically, what the award points is kind of like an incentive program, right? It's based on revenue being generated. If you have clients and they generate revenue with you, they can accumulate points. These points are later redeemable for gift certificates, cash value, gift cards, whatever they may be, hotel stays, maybe plane ticket vouchers, whatever you guys want. So that's what the award points is. So it's an incentive program. Okay? If you don't use it, ignore it. It's turned off. All right, let's go down to the tasks section. So this particular section of the job, in my opinion, is probably the biggest change in the RB9 calendar. So what is a task and why do we do it? Okay. So the task is basically the service that the client is calling you for that needs to be fulfilled by the resource. So if the client calls you and says they need a court reporter, then court reporting would be my task. If the client is calling you and says they need a videographer, video would be my task. If they need an interpreter, interpreting would be my task. So forth and so on. So the task that you define in the job is to tell you what type of resource it is that you need to really assign to the job that's going to take care of it. Okay? Now, every job that you create in RB will be given a default task named undefined. It's undefined because RB doesn't know what type of task it is that you need. Okay? So step number one that you'll want to do is you'll want to actually click on undefined and define the task. So we'll say this one's a depot video. So actually I need a court reporter, so court reporting will be my task. Okay? And change the due date, I'll click yes. So let me explain that too. Due dates are actually tied to the task itself, and I'll show you why in a minute, okay? So let's say I needed a court reporter, I also need a videographer. So let's add a second task, and we're gonna call this one video. We're gonna save it, okay? Now, it's pretty obvious what would happen here. You see there's a resource column, so I could assign the court reporter to the court reporting task. I assign the videographer to the video task. Now notice, mine didn't calculate for some reason. I don't know why it didn't calculate the due date. It was supposed to, but it didn't. Now notice the due dates. Due dates can be different. In RB8, there was only one due date, and that was the job due date. So this kind of leads us to why we did this, okay? In RB8, there was a problem. If you had multiple resources assigned to the job, and if you turn in and build at different times. Okay, let me explain this. It wasn't a problem assigning because you could assign as many resources as you wanted to any job in RB8. I can assign a court reporter and a videographer, sure, just fine. What happens though if you give your court reporter 10 days to turn in their work and video's done in 5? Well, you don't want to wait to bill the court reporter's portion. You want to go ahead and bill the video right away. Well, in RB8, if you bill the video portion of that job and you turn it in bill and you post an invoice, it changes the status of that job to billed. And on the jobs in progress report, we no longer have tracking of whether or not the reporter actually turned in their work. Because again, there was only one due date. There was only one thing based upon that status of billed to pull it off of that list, right? So again, we kind of lose that tracking. So essentially, it could mess up your jobs in progress and make it not easy to track that stuff. So now, in RB9, that's why we have tasks. And that's why each task has its own due date. We say who's taking care of which part of the job, which is their task. And then when you turn in and bill, eventually, then if video was the task that they're turning in and billing, we're not messing with that court reporting task. We're leaving it there outstanding. So if we do turn in the video portion, we do process an invoice and post it, that will complete the task for the video portion. But again, we didn't do anything with the court reporting portion, so it'll stay not finished. So that will make it easier to track what we now call, instead of jobs in progress under calendar, it's called tasks in progress. It's basically kind of the same thing, except of course we had to change the name of it to task because everything's task-based, but you'll see specifically, you know, how old things are, right? Task right there, it's right there. And it's just easier to overall see. Okay, so things will not fall off just because one of the tasks has been completed. You actually have to complete each task in order for it to fall off this list. And that also brings us to now being able to introduce under calendar, send overdue task report. Again, this is probably top 3 item asked for in RB8. Finally put it in RB9 for you guys. But basically, send overdue task. What you do here is you just go in here, click search. It'll show you everybody that has outstanding tasks. And you'll notice basically all you have to do is if you wanted to email them a list of their overdue tasks, simply check all, hit send, and then you can send them an email. You can send them an email telling them they have overdue tasks and they need to turn them in and get their work in right away. If you want to see a sample of somebody's report, simply click on the number under the total task column. And this will bring up a sample of the actual report. Okay? So this is exactly what, in my example, Susan Lloyd, if I emailed her list, this is what she would see. Okay? So let's go back to the jobs. Let's get out of these. Okay. Now, if you assign from within the job, some people assign right away, some people pre-assign. Let me show you how easy it is to assign if I'm already here. I would only do this now if I was actually working in this job if I needed to. Now, if I do pre-assigning, I will show you, other things of what I would normally do. But here's what I can do, right? Click on the task name that I want to do my assigning for. Over to the right, there is a resource field right here. And you'll notice there's no one here, and that's because I haven't assigned anybody, okay? So all you gotta do is click Assign Resource. And this is where it looks familiar to what RB8 does for assigning. You'll search by the same things, priority level, resource type, specialty. You can even override if you need to. But we'll show you who's available to take that job based on, date, time, specialties, things like that. We'll also show you the warnings right here, as you can see. And you'll see the previous 30 resources assigned to jobs for that same case. Normally, this distance miles is more useful. But now with the pandemic, since everything is Zoom, it's not that useful. Basically, what distance would normally do is it would show you by closest distance to the job location, who lived closest to them. It will show you that resource as being available at the top and go down further away as distance goes, okay? But it's NA because I put Zoom as the location. There isn't really a location, right? So it can't calculate anything. So really, I can look through my list of people, or I can just search, and when I find somebody that I want to assign, simply click on the actions drop down to the left of their name and select assign. So you can also see if I need more information on Susan, I can get her task in progress and her 30-day history of assignments. So this is pretty neat too. Watch. I'm going to assign Susan. So RB's asking me right here, do you want to send the assignment notification? So RB9 is pretty neat in that it actually thinks about your workflow. Since you do one action, RB may ask you if you want to do another action because it realizes that in day-to-day workflow, maybe you need to do that. And if we didn't ask you this and you wanted to do it, well, you would have to stop what you're doing, go somewhere else and actually do it. So do I want to send the assignment notification? Do I want to notify Susan right now? Well, if I wanted to, obviously, I could just hit yes. And then I could pick my form that I want to send out, right? And send it out, right? If I didn't want to send it out, all I had to do was hit no. No big deal. Okay? I'm going to cancel this. I'm not actually going to send it. But that's behind it. If you're going to assign from within the job. If I'm already working in the job, maybe I do it at the time of scheduling. Some people do. Who knows, right? You're just in the task section and you can assign. No big deal. Okay. Let's go down to the repository section. Now, the repository section is just like the job level repository in RB8. And first and foremost, you'll want to at least upload probably the notice here. So the way you upload a file, you're going to click New. And this actually supports drag and drop. So if I actually have a folder open and I have my sample notice right there, I can actually drag it and drop it right here and let it go. And it pulls that file in. Okay. If I don't like drag and drop, you can always just click anywhere in the dotted box and that will bring up your standard search and select the file that you want to upload. Okay. So either way, but once you have the file selected, it'll show it to you at the top. Click next. So here I can choose my file type, which of course you guys know is very important. Files will attach to the assignment notification based on their type. So that is important. I'm going to make this a notice. Upload files. And that file will now appear. Now let's talk about the notes log. Okay, so basically the notes log is just like RB8. You can make your internal notes about the job here. Nobody will see these, okay? And RB will make its own notes as well. When you send certain communications, when some data changes, RB will flag it. So of course we still believe in having an audit trail of data changing, and that's what it does. It makes the notes. Okay, so that is the job entry process and going over all the fields. Now let's talk about some other workflow, day-to-day things that you guys may utilize as far as the calendar goes. So let's talk about pre-assigning. Pre-assigning can be done in a couple of ways, right? If you really think about it, you could pre-assign a couple of days in advance. You could pre-assign a couple of weeks in advance. But there's two ways that I would pre-assign if that's something that I do. So one way would be if I know who I'm going to assign to my jobs already, okay? And the second way will be if I don't know who I want to assign, I have to look and see who's available, okay? If I already know who I want to assign, then what I would do is I would click on calendar at the top, and I would use quick assignments. Okay? Quick assignments was in or is in RB8, and really, the functionality is the same, but it's got one enhancement to it that was really missed in RB8, I think. Okay, so quick assignments is pretty simple for the most part, and again, it's saying you already know who you want to assign. So I could come in here and I can type in a name and hit enter, and you find them, and then you drag them to the job. Same thing as RB8. Now, you can still override from here, which is nice. Reporter is not available during this time. Do you still want to assign them? Sure, I want to assign them. I know what I'm doing. Now, here's the other change right here. Do you want to send the assignment notification for that job? In RB8, you could only use quick assignments to assign. You couldn't notify the resources from here. This is something new. So you can actually click yes if I really wanted to notify Susan now. Choose my form, right? Whichever one it was going to be, and then send it off. Okay? So that's the difference. You can obviously go ahead and notify the resources from here. So I could go to my next job down here, and I could assign the next one. Send the notification. No, I don't want to do it. So pre-assigning, you could notify them, maybe you don't. But we're going to give you the opportunity to say yes or no, whether you want to notify them or not. So again, quick assignments I only use if I know who I want to assign. And you can see I just go straight down the list and I can see who's assigned to every job. If you do mess up, click on actions to the left of the job number and you can remove the assigned resource. Okay? All right, now let's talk about what if I don't know who I want to assign? I need to look through my list, right? Well, I would go to calendar, and then I would go to the task function. I would say, if I had to compare the task function, I would say this replaces assign resources in RB8. So whatever, I can set my date range from whenever I want to do my pre-assigning. I'm just going to look at the 25th. All my jobs for that date appear, right? And really, if you take a look, the task is what's the clickable link. So I know I need a court reporter for this job. So I like this function right here for doing my pre-assigning, because if I click on the task name right here, RB automatically takes me to the task section. So for me to assign is pretty easy. All I got to do is click edit. It keeps me there. Then I can hit assign resource right here. And then you already saw this screen. This is where it'll show you everyone that's available, right? I'm going to send Bill on this one. So I can assign. And again, I can notify him if I want. I'm going to say no. And save. Save and close this job. Go to my next one. Edit. Assign. And again, I can do all my different searches if I want to, but when I find somebody, actions assigned. All the same. So I like the task function, as you can see, because really, literally you're opening the job, you hit edit, and you assign, right? And like I said, other ways you could do it. I could be in jobs list view. I could, if I really wanted to, I could click on this job. I can hit edit. I can go down to the task section if I want, and I can assign this way if I really wanted to, right? But that's a lot more clicks. So that's why I'm suggesting to you guys, either use quick assignments if you know, or use the task function, because that'll really save you some time. All right, so let's talk about confirming the calendar now. Say days pass, right? And we need to confirm tomorrow's calendar, whatever it may be. So how do you confirm an RB? It's kind of very similar to RB8, whether you confirm via telephone or by email, okay? You're gonna click on calendar and you're gonna select send job confirmations / cancellations. Now I'll change this job date to tomorrow or whatever day I need to be, right? Now, that's gonna change in the next update to RB. We're actually gonna default the date to tomorrow, kind of like how RB8 does. And then click search, will show you all the jobs for tomorrow. If you confirm via email, nice and simple, check all, send email, you're gone. You can even see when the confirmation was sent over here in this far right column. So that's easy to send emails. If you call, it's a little different. You just click on the job number, go down to the client information, probably scheduled by Kelly right here. So let's see, let's go to Kelly. I get her phone numbers here. Does she have a direct? No, they only have the main. So then you could call Kelly, see what's going on, close that record, right? And you're back in the job. So if you call, then just click on the contact, the view contact button, and you can get the number to actually call them. Now, how do you actually change the status of a job? So let's say I got Kelly on the phone and Kelly says, okay, yeah, we're going tomorrow. We're going to confirm. Well, here's how you change the status of a job in RB9. So you're going to click edit. Status, you're going to go drop down, change status. And I can choose confirm. Again, this will look very similar to what you already have in RB8. So I can choose confirmed, and I can leave my note. Confirmed by Kelly, right? Save, and save and close. So status will update right on the screen as soon as you do it, which is kind of nice. Now, what happens if a job actually cancels? So let's use a different example, okay? So let's say this top one up here is going to cancel, okay? Now, whether they replied to my email or I got them on the phone, I'm going into the job, I got to edit it. Now this is a straight cancellation. They don't know if they're going to reschedule yet, so I'm going to go change status, cancel. Now, a couple things with this job, right? This job actually has a resource assigned. I remember doing it already. But I want you to see what RB actually does when we cancel a job, because this is pretty neat. And again, thinking about workflow, RB's thinking about things you may have to do. Gonna click save, RB's gonna say, hey, are you sure you want to cancel this job? I sure do, click yes. So RB's gonna ask me, do I want to go ahead and send the job cancellation letter to the client? So that's reminder number one, right? Because you probably got to send them some kind of confirmation letter after you cancel a job. So I would say yes. Choose my standard cancellation, and I don't need to look at the email this time. I know what's going on. I can just say, okay, send it. Now RB is going to recognize that a resource is assigned. And it's going to ask me on the spot, do you want to send the assignment cancellation to the assigned resource? So again, that's another reminder for you. You don't have to stop what you're doing and actually go do these functionalities, perform these tasks. You can do it all from within the system, right on the spot as you're going through your workflow. So this is your reminder. I need to do it, so I'm going to click yes. Choose my cancellation form. Again, I don't want to look at the email. It doesn't matter to me. I already know what's going out. Hit send, and then be done with it. Successful. So that's pretty neat. Now, I will tell you this, if I actually get out of this job and go to another one, if they want to reschedule, it's a little different. So I could actually click on the job number, edit. Reschedule is under more at the top. The reason why it's under more at the top is because this is different functionality than just canceling. It actually performs a cancellation and a setting of the new job all at one time, right? So that's why we didn't put it with the other statuses, just to confuse people. We didn't want them to think they had to cancel it first and then reschedule it. You can always remember, just hit reschedule. It will cancel the original job, allow you to pick the new date and time, copy all that information, and save it on a new date and time. So that's why it's there. So really, if it was rescheduling, I can hit reschedule job, pick my due date and time, whatever that's going to be. Okay. And again, this one had somebody assigned. I'm not going to send it to them though. And then you can see there's two jobs here. This one's canceled. This is the original one, and this is the new one. And if you look at the additional section, it will tell you rescheduled from 9/25. Okay. And the canceled job, this is the canceled job. This one says rescheduled to. So we still leave those notes. So now let's say we did all of our confirming. And let's say, technically I confirmed the rest of those jobs. I'm lazy, I'm not gonna do it, but you guys get the gist. Those should all be canceled. So let's say now I need to make sure all my jobs are properly assigned, or I need to do my assigning, and then I wanna send out all the assignment notifications. Well, the sending of the assignment notifications, if you really think about it, is not so much as an important task as it was in RB8, because you did everything at one time, right? Under assign resources, you click show worksheet options at the bottom, and then you just email or print everybody's resource worksheet out, right? Well, in RB9, again, it's not so much as an important functionality to do that all at once, because when you assign, you can send them out one by one at that time. But do you still have the ability to send them out all at the same time? Yes, you do, okay? You can go to calendar and go down to send assignment notifications and cancellations. So I can look at tomorrow's calendar, whatever date it may be, right? And click search. All your jobs will appear. You'll see who's assigned. So really, if I need to still assign a couple more jobs, I can see these three don't have anybody. So I could click on the task. And again, it takes you to the task section, edit, and then hit assign, right? And let's just assign Alice here. And again, I could, if I wanted to, I could notify her right here. I could just hit yes and send it. But what if I don't want to do that? I can just hit no, save and close, right? Go to my next one and assign. You guys get the idea. I'm only going to do this last one. This is a video job, I noticed. This is video. So I'll say resource type. We don't want reporter, we want videographer. And we'll search this. And we'll send Mr. Dre Green. And again, I'm not going to notify. So really, save and close. And if I wanted to email all these now at the same time, I could check whichever one I wanted to do and then hit send. Now, notice there's a send and a print button. Send will do email and SMS options. Print is only for when print is checked. Now, why are there two buttons here in the first place? Why isn't it just send and it does whatever's checked? Well, this is something a little different in a web browser interface, okay? So the web browser interface cannot handle sending an email and a print job at the same time, so they have to be separated out. So if you're going to email or SMS, check those direct boxes and hit send. Don't hit the print button. And if you're going to print, make sure you check print for the ones you want to print and then hit the print button. So that's one of the differences. But you can see this is how I could utilize this particular function to send them all out at the same time if I really wanted to. And again, you'll see the notified date right here. Okay, so you have those options. Do it in the job as you assign, or do it here all at one time. Okay. So for the most part, that's going to be your entire calendar workflow of getting jobs in, searching the calendar, changing information by editing jobs, pre-assigning, confirming, you're doing your final assigning and notifying. So let's wrap this up real quick. There's going to be, I think, just maybe one or two more things I'm going to look at, maybe just one. First of all, like I said, a lot of these are the same. Resource blast is the same. Daily calendar audit is the same. Send future calendar is a little different. Let's look at this one. This was called export calendar in RB8. Now it's called send future calendar. So if a client calls you and says, hey, case is settling, I need all my jobs scheduled for a particular case, right? I could go firm, Stratford, and maybe they gave me the case. Olives. So I can set my date range, whatever I really wanted it to be, right? Search. And I have 30 jobs for that case. And this is the sample of what the report looks like that you would be sending them. This ends up being a 10-page report for 30 jobs, and it shows them all the jobs, okay? You can email that from here at the top by hitting send, or you can close it, and theoretically I would be able to hit check all and send. There's no checkbox here next to Stratford because there's no firm email address that I can actually send it to, so I don't have to add that, of course. But then you can just email it out, and that will actually send a report version of the calendar to the client. So does it technically need to be a future calendar? Not really. You can go back in time too. So it's just nice to have the capability to be able to email it from the system. Okay, then the rest of the stuff, job printout we looked at. Job printout's pretty much the same as RB8. You can set your date range that you want to actually look at the calendar. And then down here, you can turn all your notes on just like you could in RB8, right? Search. This will be the report. Again, looks very similar to RB8. Good one to have if you're going to be away and you're not going to have access to RB9. And you have all the information for the job if anyone ever calls you guys. And if we look at the rest of the stuff, job analysis is the same. We already looked at task in progress and send overdue task report. And then assignment analysis is the same. So that will wrap up this session for calendar. If you guys do have questions, please email those questions to support@omti.com or just give us a call. Give us a call, 650-396-2105. And we'll screen your calls. Maybe we'll pick up, maybe we won't. Just kidding. We will go ahead and pick up and we can address your questions. So if you need assistance with that, just try it out. Practice. Start putting jobs in when you have time. I know it's hard to actually do some testing. If you need access to your demo site, our demo site, we can provide access. But if you guys are already set up with your own test sites, by all means, you should be trying to put in jobs to make sure you can perform your calendar duties. This is the time while you're testing to really figure out the differences and getting used to the different clicks. And if you are running into any issues, by all means, let us know so we can definitely address those issues with you and iron them all out. But that's it. I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining today's session. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll talk to you soon.